This is The Process Shot. I'm Michael. I'm stuck in a haunted movie theater, and I've seen Not Okay, a new comedy drama feature from director Quinn Shephard. It's a cautionary tale about a young woman named Danny, whose ambitions for internet fame clash with her actual position in life, and most of all, her low-tier job at a magazine. In a bid to impress an influencer coworker, she feigns a trip to Paris, using Photoshop to fake images that she posts to social media. However, Danny ends up in over her head when a terrorist attack occurs in the city, causing her friends and family to worry and putting her in the international spotlight upon her quote-unquote return home. When she is given a chance to write an article for her work, Danny's research leads her to a trauma support group and to Rowan, who is herself a school shooting survivor and now an activist. The two end up becoming close friends, but it comes with Danny finding herself falling further and further into guilt. Not to mention the inevitable ending where her newfound success comes crashing down. That's not really a spoiler either. The movie has a cold opener that shows what's to come, though it's probably no surprise based on the premise. The story as a whole makes for a clear and cohesive commentary on modern races for internet fame, and a satire of the kind of people who might take drastic measures to reach the top. From the start, Danny is portrayed as self-absorbed and entirely obsessed with her internet numbers, with little time for others who give her less sympathy in return. It's not until after meeting Rowan and learning what trauma survivors actually suffer through that she starts to realize the errors of her ways. At this point, though, I feel like the movie has a bit of an issue in how Danny's character is treated. Not so much by others within the movie, but more in the actual writing. It almost seems to regress, in a sense, taking whatever growth had occurred and pulling it back as if most of what we saw was just to be ignored, or as if it were a waste of time, or at the very least, hadn't actually happened. That is, it puts Danny back in a spot that she was at earlier in the movie versus where she is when things start to finally collapse. It makes me feel as if the movie was written with the beginning and ending drafted out first, and with a different tone in mind for the rest of the film. But after everything else was added, they forgot to actually go back and better rework those earlier parts. As it is, it's a story that almost outright rejects any sort of redemption or remorse, despite everything else in the story leading towards it. There is an epilogue scene that works out well enough as is, I will admit, but it also feels like it was written outside of the tone and direction set up by the film's beginning and ending. It might just be me in the end, but it still feels like a weird choice for them to build up sympathy for a character, then act like there was no reason to care. Anyways, the technical aspects of the movie are pretty well handled. There's not much in the way of a unique visual style, but cinematography does capture scenes very well, with a few heightened style choices in dream sequences or more dramatic moments, as well as within a nice montage early in the film speeding through Danny's false week in Paris. Outside of these sorts of scenes, the visuals are otherwise kept on a more realistic level. Color and lighting choices are also in line with this, switching between that realism with black lights and neons when compared to the influencer lifestyle that Danny dreams of achieving. For the most part, though, there doesn't seem much else in the way of a style, at least in my opinion, mostly because of the greater focus on the story and its themes. Again, they are certainly important themes, and when the film gets down to it, they're treated excellently. But I still feel as if the characters of the film belong in separate stories that this movie can't quite cross together all that well. It won't necessarily take away from the final experience, but it mostly just feels like a bit of a tonal dissonance to me. Not okay. Quinn Shephard, 2022. 3 stars. It's not perfect, but with the themes that it wants to explore, I think it's still worth seeing. You might get more satisfaction from it than I did, at least. That's it for this review. If you liked it, leave a like. If you have something to add, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. Also, this movie opens with a content warning about how it contains an unlikable female protagonist. I'm not sure what to make of that, especially if it's supposed to be serious.